tell me about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity. My name is Sumair Ahmed, and I did my graduation in 2020. And after that, I started my professional journey with NVIDIA as through third-party Landstat client. Then, after a short break of upskilling, then I joined TCS, where I gained some upskilling in automation, Selenium, and Java. Then I started my project with hybrid project of Selenium Rest Assured, where I did UI and API testing. And yeah, that's all about me.
Okay. So before going technical, so can you briefly explain me about your projects?
Yeah, so my project is a hybrid project where I'm automating UI as well as API. So, and there is another way like API we are using where we are creating data for UI. Like so what we are actually doing is like we are using API for data creation as well, apart from testing, automating API. So, for UI we are using Selenium, and for API we are using REST Assured. So, but the main like our main focus of the framework is to like automate the UI because it has a higher number of test cases. So for code management we are using the GitHub and Git, and then we are using Maven for dependency management, uh, and then like that's all like from with regards to the project.
Okay. Do you have knowledge about Spring Boot also?
Sorry.
Do you know about Spring Boot?
Uh, yeah, like Spring Boot is for the development purpose, but we are currently focusing on the Selenium.
Okay. Okay. So can you tell me what's the difference between implicit and explicit weight in Selenium?
So yeah, like these are both ways the Selenium provide us for the waiting purpose. See, for example, if you want to interact with the element and that element is not readily available to interact with, so we have to either use implicit wait or explicit wait. So the main difference between implicit wait is like wait needs to be declared once and it applies globally. Like once it is declared, like it will be applied for all the elements which is present in that particular WebDriver session. Whereas what actually happens in explicit wait is like explicit wait provide us various conditions. Like if you want to there are elements which needs to be either clickable or available or interactable. So explicit wait provide us various waiting condition for that particular wait. So yeah, like the main difference is implicit wait is globally applied, whereas explicit wait is a specific conditional base for a particular element.
So explicit is dynamically, right?
Yeah, so explicit is more dynamic where we are providing particular condition. For example, if you want to interact with the element, for example, we want particular element to be clickable before we click on it. Otherwise, it may show the error. That's why we are using explicit wait.
Can you give me a scenario where explicit weight is better than implicit weight?
Yeah, like see, like as I said, implicit wait is more like once it is declared. See, what actually happens in implicit wait is we declare it once, and so we cannot declare it again and again. So once we have declared, for example, we declared it with that wait of 10 second implicit wait. So there are elements which may take more than 10 seconds to interact with. To be available while we are interacting, whether we finding or like clicking them or selecting them. So in such cases, we may need explicit wait. For example, if you want to click on the drop down which has multiple options, and that drop down takes more wait while loading, so uh, we need to provide the like explicit wait in order to get all the options available. So yeah, like that's how we can use the explicit wait. Like if there are elements which may exceed the time limit of the implicit wait, then we in order to provide more safety to the element, in order to avoid the failure of the test case, we provide the explicit wait.
Okay. So, okay. What is the purpose of action class in Selenium?
Yeah, so the action name itself represent like we are performing certain action. Like the like what actually happens in Selenium is Selenium Selenium provide us the way to interact with the element more dynamically. For example, we using mouse we carry out various actions like drag and drop, and then we perform the right click, and then what like there are various other things we carry like click and hold and hovering over certain elements. So in order to replicate all this action through a frame like Selenium provide us a class which is action class. So this class actually provide us various methods to mimic those actions, just like I said, like we need drag and drop, then we have the right click, and then we have double click. So in order to perform these actions, we are using action class.
Okay. How do you select a value from the drop down using select class?
So yeah, so so Selenium, just like action class, we also have select class. So what actually happens is if we have a particular element which is selectable, like if we click on it, then it provides us the drop down. So yeah, like select class, so in order to select the options from that particular uh, that drop down, we need to use the select class. So what actually happens is we will declare the select class with the new constructor of the select class by providing that uh, elements locator, and then we gonna apply the provided methods in the select class. For example, we may select by the index, then we may provide select by the value, whatever the value that HTML page it contains for that particular select option, and we may also select the value by the visible text, whatever is visible on the screen, then we can also select by that, providing that particular option. So there are 2 to 3 ways where in which we can select the drop down.
Have you ever handled exceptions? Worked on exception handling?
Yeah, so exception handling is one of the main feature of Java as well, and that is needs to be done in the framework as well in order to avoid the test case failure. Because like more like if we don't provide the exception handling, then what actually happens is like more than test case failure, like more than defect, it's gonna fail with the exception itself. So so what we actually do in exception handling is like we use try and catch mechanism, which is a standard mechanism provided by the Java itself. So like we use the various hierarchy of the exceptions. So 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 either we can use the hierarchy of the exception or the like top class of the exception itself in order to catch that particular exception in the catch mechanism.
Okay. Uh, what cases settlement element returns
Yeah,
exception?
so stale element exception. See what actually happens is if you have selected one particular element. So if you have got one particular element from the find element method, and then your page got refreshed because of some other action, and if you want to use that particular element which you had got in your variable, so that element is gonna throw the stale element exception because that DOM got refreshed. So you need to again retrace that element using find element method instead of using that older version. So you need to be careful while using, like you need to be careful with the action that you are performing after you are taking the reference of particular element through find element.
Okay. When do you encounter no such element exception?
So no such element exception is mostly occur when you are actually using like a locator which is not available in the DOM, like in the DOM itself. Like you are using locator which is not correct locator. So when the find element method is going to search in the HTML page, it's not going to find that element, it's gonna throw the no such element exception. It may happen in some cases where there are various frames in the HTML itself, and you are not switching to that frame. So and you are trying to access that element without switching to the frame itself. So like you're gonna get that exception.
Okay, so can you explain oops?
Yeah, like it's oops is a most fundamental part of the Java and various other languages which support the object oriented programming. So the oops actually involves like there are four fundamental pillars of oops. So the one is like inheritance. So what actually happens, like let me list down all the four pillars first, then we're gonna go to one by one each. So one is inheritance, then other is polymorphism, then abstraction, and then encapsulation. So what happens is what inheritance by inheritance what I means is like there is one class we if and so and there are some child classes. So what actually happens is if you want the properties of one class, that is parent class, to be inherited to the child class, then we take reference of that parent class using um extend keyword of the Java, and then all the properties and the uh, methods and the objects, all the objects of that like variables will be the part of the child classes. So this way we can instead of recreating all those method which is in the parent class, we can directly refer to those methods using the by extending that class itself in the child classes. And then there is other part of the oops, that is abstraction means hiding the details of the hiding the details of the implementation, and then showing the showing the what is needed part of that particular method. For example, there is one utility class where you need to click on the a certain element, but you are just giving the reference of that method, like click on the element, but you are hiding the implementation inside the utility class. So what in your test case class you are just calling that method, and then you are keeping the actual implementation of the click in the utility method. So this actually used for avoiding the complexity, because there are certain like many people are working in a team. So if we define the methods, like if we give the implementation of the method to like in our main class itself, then like it's gonna people gonna change the implementation of it as per their own. That's why like to keep the standard code, like standard certain standardization, we need to hide the implementations in order to avoid the conflicts in the implementation. And then there is other polymorphism. There is one pillar of the oops concept is polymorphism, where we are there are two way of there are two kind of polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism is there, then there is compile time polymorphism is there. Like so one so runtime polymorphism is so like just to keep the short, like keep it short, I just want to say that when a method behaves differently with different parameters, that is called overloading. So overloading is a compile time runtime polymorphism. And then there is overriding, that is a compile time polymorphism, where we are writing two different implementation in the parent class and the child class. And then we have the encapsulation basically means we are like packing our variables and the methods in the class it represents. Yeah, so that's all about the OOP concept, and that's how we have used in our framework.
Okay, Omer. So can you tell me what's the difference between element and find elements?
Yeah, so these are the two basic methods provided by the Selenium in order to interact with the elements on our web page. So find element, what actually find element? By name itself, we can say that find element is trying to find a single element, and whereas the find elements is trying to find the multiple elements with that particular locator. So what actually happens is when we are trying to find a single element with the locator, so we use the find element. If we don't find any element with that locator, we're gonna get the no such element exception. So in order to play safe, we can use the find elements with and so what actually happens is if find elements, which is the plural form of the find element, it's gonna if it does not find any element, it's gonna return the empty list. So what we can do is we can if there is one optional attribute in the web page, it can be available, sometime it can be available, sometime it's not available. Instead of using find element that is singular, we can use find elements, which is gonna return the empty list. So we can check if the list is returning as empty, then we are not going to interact with that element. So that's how we can play safe using find elements method.
Okay. So, do you have an which database you have used?
So we are using Oracle SQL database.
Okay, Oracle. So, just just give me a minute.
Yeah.
So, what is Oracle database? Can you explain?
Sorry.
Can you explain what is Oracle database?
So like Oracle is a vendor which provides us the database for maintaining the databases that we can use in our project.
Okay, sorry. So, can you share me your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Or you can just write the code in chat box
Hmm.
uh, for finding the frequency of a character in string.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen so it's better. Let me know
Yeah,
once it's visible.
yeah.
I hope it's visible, right? So I have opened,
Yes, your screen is visible.
yeah. So I have opened online editor. So
Yes.
can you repeat the question once again?
Yeah, sure. Uh, Write a code to find the frequency of a character in the string.
Okay, so I'm gonna begin with the string variable. So I'm gonna store one string. Let's say I can take any string, right? Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so I'm gonna take a B
yes.
C D. Okay, fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use hash map here. So what actually hash map does is it stores the data in the form of key and value pair. So as a key, I'm gonna take character, and in as a values, I'm gonna store that as an integer. All right. So I'm gonna name it square frequency. So this is how I'm gonna begin new hash map. So what actually I'm going to do here is I'm going to loop through the each character of this string and then store each character in a hash map. So let me write one for loop.
Okay.
Char string. So in order to access the character of a string, like there is one standard method. So I'm going to convert the string into char array, character array. So let's convert this. So what I'm going to do here is in hash map, I'm gonna put the character as a key. So hash map provides us the put method. So I'm gonna store character as a key and the frequency of that character as a string. So there is one method I just wanna mention here, which is provided by the hash map, which is get or default. Get or default. So what actually gonna happens here is I'm gonna put so what will happen is, see, let me explain here what I'm doing here. So first I will write the code. So what will happen is when the character is found, for example a is found, what it is gonna do is since there is no a currently right now in the hash map, so it's gonna put that a in the as a key, and then there is no character. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna put default 0 because there is no a existing currently. And then what we going to do is we add that one, like current count of that character as a increment it to 1. But for example, if the a occurs again, then we already have one occurrence of that character. What actually gonna happens is it's gonna get the existing value, that is a 1, which is already existing one time. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna get its existing value, which is 1, and then add the current count, so which is like it's gonna be 2. So this way I'm gonna loop through all the characters and add the. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Like in order to
Okay.
print print count
Yes,
of
sir.
this character, I'm gonna
Okay. You can
apply,
proceed. Okay. Yes.
apply for each, and then loop through this. This is key representing the key value, and I'm going to print the uh, k plus v. Sorry, string, not a string, hash. So yeah, we got the frequency of each character this way. I hope you are able to see the
No.
answer, right?
Yeah. So, okay, Omer. So, that's good. Do you have any questions
Yeah,
from me?
I just want to thank you for your time first of all, and then I had one question regarding the project. Are you are you directly representing the project, or some other team might take care of, like your, is it a batch hiring or a
No,
project specific hiring?
no. It's a project specific hiring. The team will, there's a team. So you have to work with the team. And so, so for the further information that you want, so HR will inform you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for your time then. Thanks.
Okay. Okay.